My friend, let me ask you something simple but piercing. If love is the one thing everybody wants, why do so many of us end up in the wrong arms? The wrong stories? The wrong loops? We blame destiny. We blame bad luck. Some even laugh at themselves and call it a cursed finger, a bad picker. But what if it's not luck? What if it's alignment? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't attract what you deserve. You attract what you believe. You attract what you vibrate. Pause for a second. Think of the last person you let into your life. Was it really love? Or was it loneliness dressed as urgency? Was it connection? Or was it fear of being alone echoing? So loud you mistook it for desire? And if these words already sting a little, then listen carefully. This isn't about guilt. This is about power. Because once you understand that your vibration is your invitation, love stops being roulette and starts being resonance. Let's picture it. Imagine your heart as a radio. Every thought, every feeling is a frequency. Low self-esteem, that's static. Desperation, that's noise. Authenticity, that's signal. And here's the cosmic joke. No matter how badly you want the right person, if you're tuned to the wrong frequency, the wrong ones will always hear you louder. That's why people keep saying, why do I only meet liars? Why do I only meet people who don't commit? Because somewhere, silently, your vibration whispered, I don't believe I'm worthy of more. And the universe doesn't negotiate with your words. It answers your frequency. But here's the miracle. You can retune. Love isn't a lottery ticket. It's a mirror of the way you love yourself. When you start choosing yourself, respecting yourself, nourishing yourself, the energy shifts. The needy ones stop calling. The unavailable ones stop finding you. And out of nowhere, someone aligned appears. Not perfect, but real. Because your frequency finally says, I am ready for reciprocity. Now let's be clear. This isn't positive thinking fluff. It's biology. It's psychology. It's pattern recognition. Your brain has what scientists call the reticular activating system, a filter that decides what you notice and what you ignore. If you believe deep down you're not enough, your RAS will spotlight everyone who confirms that belief. But when you heal the belief, the filter changes. Suddenly, you notice people who reflect respect, kindness, presence. They were always there, you just weren't tuned to see them. So here's the first real step to finding great love. Stop searching outward, start tuning inward. And if you're watching this and already feeling that subtle pull, that sense of, this is speaking to me, then do one thing right now. Pause, breathe, and subscribe. Not as a favor to me, as a promise to yourself. Because this journey isn't about collecting advice. It's about reprogramming your vibration. And this space is where you'll learn to do it. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You fall for someone, you give your energy, your time, your heart, and somewhere along the line it cracks. They pull away, they disappoint, they betray, or they simply vanish, and your friends shake their heads and say, you just have a bad picker, the cursed finger, the rotten radar. You laugh bitterly because it feels true. But let me whisper something that will shake that belief. There is no broken picker. There is only misaligned frequency. Here's why that matters. If you believe you're doomed with a broken picker, you stay stuck. You give your power away to fate. You keep repeating, it's just who I am, I always choose wrong, and the cycle never ends. But if you realize it's about frequency, about energy, everything shifts. Because frequency can be tuned. It's not a curse, it's not destiny, it's alignment. Let's be honest. How many times have you ignored red flags because the vibration of your own loneliness was louder than your intuition? How many times have you settled because your frequency whispered, better something than nothing? How many times did you call it chemistry, when it was actually a trauma echo bouncing back at you? You weren't broken, you were just tuned to noise. And here's the thing about noise. It always drowns out the signal. Until you clear it, you'll keep hearing the same static. Think about it like this. Your vibration is like a magnet hidden under the table. No matter what you say you want, the magnet pulls what matches its current setting. If deep inside you believe love equals pain, your magnet will drag pain closer. If you secretly believe love never stays, your magnet will keep pulling runners. If you believe you are not enough, your magnet will call those who confirm it. And then, of course, you point at the finger, the picker, the radar, but the magnet was always inside. Now, let's weave in a bit of science here, not as a lecture, but as proof your soul already feels. Your brain is wired to recognize patterns. It's called confirmation bias. If you believe all men lie, guess what your brain highlights? The liars. If you believe all women leave, guess what you notice? the ones already halfway out the door, your subconscious becomes a spotlight, illuminating only the people who prove your story true. That's why awareness is everything. Because when you change the belief, you shift the spotlight, and suddenly different people stand in the light. They were always there, you just weren't tuned to see them. Here's where it gets tender. Sometimes the so-called wrong people weren't just mistakes. They were mirrors. Painful ones, yes, but mirrors of what we hadn't healed. That relationship with the narcissist? It was your unhealed self-worth screaming for attention. That cycle with the unavailable one? It was your inner child begging for presence. That betrayal? A reflection of the boundaries you never set. It hurts, but it's liberating, because it means the story isn't random. It had meaning. It had a message. And once the lesson is absorbed, the frequency shifts. The magnet resets, and those echoes no longer stick. So how do you stop blaming your finger and start tuning your field? It begins with brutal honesty. Ask yourself, what belief about love am I still carrying like a stone in my pocket? Do I believe love is scarce? Do I believe I must earn it? Do I believe I'll always be abandoned? Those beliefs hum like background music in every interaction. Change the soundtrack and you change the dance. Here's an image for you. Imagine walking into a party. There are 100 people there. Some kind, some cruel, some open, some closed. But your vibration is like a secret filter on your glasses. And without realizing it, your eyes skim past the 80 who would treat you well, and zoom in on the 20 who fit your wounds. You feel chemistry. You call it destiny. But really, it's resonance. Your unhealed parts find their match, and then the cycle begins again, until you change the filter. So let me say it again, louder this time. You are not cursed. You are not broken. You are not doomed to repeat heartbreak forever. What you call bad taste is just untuned frequency, and frequencies can change. Now, here's the part most people don't want to hear. Shifting frequency requires choosing yourself, fully, unapologetically. And that can feel terrifying. Because for years, maybe decades, you've been programmed to compromise, to settle, to play small, to prove your worth. And suddenly, here I am asking you to stop chasing and start standing still, to stop grasping and start radiating, to stop needing and start knowing. It feels unnatural at first, because urgency is addictive. Chasing feels like action. Settling feels like safety. But both are illusions. Alignment isn't about effort. It's about frequency. So here's my challenge for you. Take 1 week, just 7 days, and instead of scrolling for love, swiping for love, running for love, become love. Treat yourself the way you long to be treated. Speak to yourself the way you wish a partner would. Set the boundaries you've been afraid to set. Radiate what you crave. Because when your frequency shifts, your magnet shifts. And suddenly, you're no longer hunting in the wrong places. Love starts finding you. And if this feels like a truth you've been waiting to hear, if you're tired of blaming your picker, your finger, your luck, then subscribe right now. Not for me, for you. Because every video here is another step in tuning your field, clearing your static, raising your resonance. This is not about fixing your finger. It's about remembering your frequency. Let me end this block with a truth to tattoo on your soul. You don't need to be perfect to attract great love. You just need to be aligned. Because love isn't about finding the right person. It's about becoming the right frequency. And when you do, the right person doesn't just appear. They stay. Let's start with a radical truth. Love is not found. Love is matched. You don't stumble upon it like a lucky coin on the sidewalk. You resonate into it. You call it in with the signal you carry, and the signal is shaped by one thing, your frequency. Now pause and breathe, because this is where most people get it wrong. They chase strategies. Say this line, wear this outfit, play this game. But love is not a game. It's resonance. It's music. Imagine 2 tuning forks in the same room. Strike one, and the other vibrates without being touched. That's how frequency works. That's how love works. And here's the uncomfortable part. If your fork hums with insecurity, you will attract those who amplify it. If your fork hums with scarcity, you'll find those who confirm it. But when your fork hums with wholeness, you attract wholeness. You don't beg for it. You don't negotiate for it. It simply comes. So the question isn't, where do I find love? The question is, what frequency am I broadcasting? Because energy never lies. You can fake confidence in a photo, in a smile, in a line. But vibration, it leaks through everything. And people feel it instantly. Often without even realizing why. Let's break this into something real. What raises your frequency? Self-respect. Not the loud, performative kind. The quiet, unshakable kind. The one that says, I don't chase, I attract. I don't beg, I choose. Joy. not the Instagram version. The raw, ordinary joy, singing while cooking, laughing at yourself, being at ease in your own skin. Joy is magnetic. Boundaries, not walls, boundaries. The invisible line that says, this is how love feels here. Respect it or leave. And here's the paradox. Boundaries don't scare the right people away. They attract them. Because the right ones see your strength as safety, not as threat. Alignment, living in truth with what you value. If you crave loyalty but entertain those who can't spell, you're off frequency. Alignment is when your actions echo your desires. Now let me slip some neuroscience into your heart gently. Your brain has something called the reticular activating system, RAS. It's the filter of what you notice. When you set an intention, I want to be loved with respect, your RAS starts spotlighting people who align with it. But if your intention is foggy, or if your secret belief is love always hurts, the filter highlights those who prove that. That's why clarity is medicine. Not clarity about others, clarity about yourself. Because when you say to your own soul, I am worthy of love that feels like home, your brain, your body, your energy start working together to find it. And suddenly the wrong ones blur out. Here's a story. A woman I know, brilliant, beautiful, kept attracting partners who ghosted. Every time she said, it must be me. I must not be enough. But when she finally sat still with herself, she realized she was radiating please don't leave me energy. Her fear of abandonment was the magnet. When she healed that wound, something miraculous happened. The same rooms, the same apps, the same city, yet suddenly, she only noticed the men who were steady. The runners disappeared from her radar because her fork had changed its hum. So how do you tune your fork? How do you raise your frequency for love? You practice micro acts of alignment daily. It's not about radical overnight changes. It's about choosing resonance again and again. You stop texting back at midnight just because you're scared they'll lose interest. You stop entertaining crumbs because your soul craves a feast. You stop dimming your brilliance because you're afraid of intimidating someone. You stop explaining your worth to those committed to misunderstanding it. Every no to misalignment is a yes to resonance. Now I want you to feel this in your body. Close your eyes for a second and remember the last time you felt fully alive. Not because of someone else, but because of you. Maybe it was when you laughed so hard you cried. Maybe it was when you finished something you thought you couldn't. Maybe it was when you sat in silence and realized you're still here. You survived, you're breathing. That feeling? That's your frequency. That's the signal that tells love, here I am. I'm ready for more. And let's talk about culture for a moment, because society feeds us the opposite. It says be prettier, be richer, be more available, be less demanding. Noise, noise, noise. But love doesn't answer to noise. It answers to truth. That's why some of the most magnetic people aren't the most polished. They're the most aligned. They know who they are, and they radiate it. And that frequency cuts through everything. And here's where I look at you, my friend, and say if you're ready to shift, start now. Not tomorrow, not when you're perfect. Now, because love doesn't wait for you to fix every crack. It arrives when you stand in your truth. So if this message is vibrating in your chest, subscribe now. Not for algorithms. Not for me. For you. As a commitment to keep tuning your frequency until the love you crave no longer feels like a chase, because it's already at your door. Let me leave you with this picture. Imagine yourself as a lighthouse. The lighthouse doesn't run around the sea searching for ships. It stands tall. It shines. And the right ships find it. That's what raising your frequency is. Standing, shining, knowing. And trust me, the right love will see your light. Let's be real. Finding love is not the hardest part. The hardest part is keeping it alive without shrinking yourself, without settling, without losing the spark that made you magnetic in the first place. Because here's the paradox no one tells you. Love doesn't demand perfection. It demands presence. Think about it. We're sold endless fairy tales. The right person arrives and the credits roll. But the movie of real love begins after the meeting. And in that movie, courage is the main character. The courage to be seen in your rawness. The courage to say I need without shame. The courage to listen when it's easier to defend. The courage to pause when the old impulse is to run. Here's the secret. Love expands or it contracts. There is no still point. It grows when both people dare to show up fully. Messy, brilliant, flawed, radiant. It withers when fear builds walls. And that's why raising your frequency wasn't just about attracting someone. It was training for this moment. Because high frequency isn't just a magnet. It's also a shield, a guide, a rhythm that helps you love without losing yourself. Picture this. 2 people at a table. No phones, no distractions, just the kind of attention that feels like sunlight. That's not grand, it's simple. And yet, in today's world, simplicity is radical. Love grows in the tiny pauses. The laugh before bed, the way you notice someone's mood shift, the choice to reach for their hand instead of the screen. These micro acts are not small, they're everything. Because love is not kept alive in declarations, it's kept alive in repetition of presence. But let's not romanticize too much. Here's the truth that stings. Even the great loves stumble, even the strong ones fight, even the soul connections face storms. The difference is this. In low-frequency bonds, storms sink the ship. In high-frequency bonds, storms test the anchor. So ask yourself, do you want a love that collapses in the first rain? Or one that knows how to dance in the thunder? And here's where neuroscience and heart shake hands. Your brain literally rewires in love. Oxytocin, the bonding chemical, strengthens trust. Dopamine sparks desire. But here's the kicker. If fear and cortisol dominate, those pathways collapse. You start doubting, defending, distrusting. Love then isn't just poetry. It's biology. And your choices, presence, attention, truth, decide which chemicals flood your system. That's why courage is practical. It rewires you towards safety instead of threat. So let's land this with a challenge. For the next week, choose one courageous act of love daily. It could be telling someone how much they mean to you, without waiting for the right time. It could be setting a boundary, not as a wall, but as a bridge to honesty. It could be forgiving, not because they deserve it, but because your heart does. It could be laughing together when stress screams otherwise. These aren't random acts. They're frequency in motion. They're how you prove to your own soul that you're ready, not just to attract love, but to hold it. And now, let me look at you one last time in this video and whisper what most people never hear. You are not too much. You are not too late. You are not impossible to love. You are exactly enough, exactly now. And the love that matches you is already on its way. Not because you chased it, but because you finally stopped running from yourself. If these words resonated with your chest, if you felt the sting and the warmth at once, subscribe right now. Not for me, not for numbers, for you, as your silent vow that you're done with half love, half truths, half presence, and you're ready for the full thing. Because the truth is simple. Great love doesn't arrive as a miracle. It grows as a choice. And the choice is yours, starting today.